The Life is Strange double exposure gameplay trailer is out, and there's a few things that I want to touch on because although this trailer is pretty straightforward, there's definitely more there than what meets the eye. For this particular breakdown, I want to focus on things that I feel may be significant but also easily overlooked at first glance from the reveal livestream. We know that Max is now a photographer in residence at Caledon University, and the trailer gives us our first glimpse of the new life that she's essentially carved out for herself as a mentor to photography students. Deck 9's decision to have Max become a mentor is not at all far-fetched, as expressing and sharing her love of photography has always been her whole entire thing, but this piqued my interest mainly for two reasons. One, the fact that Max is now in a leadership role, and two, the implications that follow. One of the first things that stood out to me was how much Max has changed. When you think of Max Caulfield, there are certain character traits that come to mind, especially since one of the main central points in Max's story in season 1 is to overcome her shyness and lack of confidence in herself. Max wants nothing more than to make friends, to fit in, and be recognized as more than just a wallflower by her peers. In Double Exposure, we can see just how much she has grown into herself in comparison to the original game. Max's newfound confidence is in her dialogue.
How should I know? Go talk to somebody who's been here longer than 6 months.
Be safe, yeah?
When am I not?
Her mannerisms.
Moses, I have literally never wanted to play a game more in my entire life.
You say that now.
How she engages with other characters.
For real? Oh my god, Safi! That's incredible! Congratulations!
And this goes to show how formative the time jump between Life is Strange 1 and Double Exposure has been. By the end of season 1, we know that Max is a force to be reckoned with, and it's good to see that Max, now much older and confident in her skin, has managed to find belonging in her people amongst the chaos. I also really want to talk about the owl. I know that a lot of people have already peeped the owl as an important symbol, but we gotta talk about the owl. We can see that Max has an owl pin on the lapel of her jacket there, and not to mention the owl is a constant presence throughout both trailers. But I want to share my thoughts and what I think the significance of the owl actually is. Why is the owl here in the first place, and what does it have to do with Max? When I was watching the extended gameplay, there was one moment, one quote in particular that stuck out to me beyond anything else.
Carl Sandburg called it a friend for the lonesome to talk to.
Pretty.
Now, Safi could just be sharing this famous Carl Sandburg quote because she's trying to be all poetic or whatever, but I think that it's more to it than that. Safi says this only moments before she gets the phone call, right? Moments before Max takes a photo of the moon and gets an all too familiar headache. Life is Strange 1, 2, and Before the Storm all share a common theme of animal spirits in the narrative. Whether this is to embody a character's personality, their motivations, or their role in a given circumstance, and while I've seen quite a few debates on whether the owl is Max or Safi's spirit animal, what I actually think is that the owl represents a separate entity entirely. Knowing what I know about the emphasis that is placed on symbolism in Life is Strange games, I decided to do some research into the mythology of both the moon and the owl in this case, and here's what I found. In the mythology of the Northwest Coast nations, including the indigenous peoples of Oregon, the state where Max is originally from, the moon is depicted as a guide, a protector, guardian spirit, timekeeper, and symbol of transformation. Likewise, the owl symbolizes wisdom, protection, and most importantly, intuition and clairvoyance. Clairvoyance in the sense of foreknowledge and second sight, or to put it simply, visions of the future. The owl, being a nocturnal creature, sees through the illusion of darkness, guiding us to trust our own intuitions and judgment, to not allow our perceptions to be compromised by deception. And in the context of bird symbolism, the owl is the symbol of the moon. See where I'm going with this? In some cultures, the owl, like many other birds of prey, is considered to be connected to the spiritual realm, able to travel between both lands of the living and the dead. It is a guardian of souls, guiding them towards the afterlife. The fact that the owl shows up right before Safi is murdered is not a happy coincidence. Max gets the first headache when she takes a photo of the moon, and completely blacks out when she takes another photo of the owl. The owl is unfazed. The owl calls out to her as she collapses, almost as if it is communicating, almost as if it is warning her, almost as if it knows something that only Max would understand. The owl of prophecy and the moon of intuition. Max sees the owl for the very first time when she walks out of the astronomy building, and it's perched on top of a statue. This statue is the famous Titan Atlas. In Greek mythology, Atlas is the Titan who is responsible for bearing the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. Atlas is the personification of strength and endurance. We know that Max hasn't used her powers in years, that she considers them to be a means of mass destruction and devastation, a weapon. Not only that, but the burden of the past and the uncertainty of the future is no doubt weighing heavily on her. I do not think that her first encounter with the owl, that the first time she gets a flashback to Arcadia Bay, just so happened to be in the presence of the Titan Atlas statue. Also want to point out that the story of Atlas and Hercules involved a lot of deception and trickery, and the Owl of Intuition is on top of the Atlas statue. Just putting that out there for now. So, here's my theory. The owl's purpose is to guide Max on her quest. It is a separate entity whose foresight and ability to tap into the spiritual realm, just as Max is able to now tap into two separate realms or timelines, will serve a greater purpose in bringing justice to Safi. It is a reminder that Max does not have to shoulder this burden alone, and as Carl Sandburg put it is a friend for the lonesome to talk to. And I don't mean like Max is going to be literally chatting up the owl, but I do think that it'll play an important role in helping Max navigate whatever illusion, deception, or trickery is surrounding Safi's murder. I would love to know what you guys think about the owl and the role it'll play in Max's story. Alright, time for some details. When Max opens her phone, we get our first glimpse of one of the in-game navigation menus. At the top, we can see that there is a journal tab, phone tab, and collectibles tab. The phone tabs include tasks, messages, and a social media app called Crosstalk. Now there's a few things here. One, Max uploads a photo of Moses to Crosstalk, so I have to wonder if actually using our social media is a gameplay mechanic or whether it's scripted. But also, here are the names of some of the characters that we have seen in the trailers. We've got Amanda, and by the space buns in this profile photo, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Amanda is this girl. There's also a separate profile called Amanda Comedy, so perhaps she's a comedian or really into memes. We've also got Gwen and Lucas. Thanks to the community, we also know that this girl is named Loretta Rice. Looking at the double exposure collector's box, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that these 4 characters on the art cards are our main cast, and the other characters are going to be in supporting roles. So we have Max, Safi, Moses, and Amanda. Cool detail I noticed is that the patch on Max's jacket is of a white-tailed doe, which is common in Vermont, but also, you know, Life is Strange, dear Rachel. Lastly, I want to share my thoughts on the ending of the extended gameplay when Max is searching for Safi, which also reiterates back to my owl theory. This entire sequence is strange because it's almost as if there are 2 different realities happening at once. One when Safi is in danger and we hear the gunshot, and another where Safi is perfectly fine and talking on the phone. In the reveal livestream, we learn that there are 2 different components to Max's new power: shifting, in which she completely shifts into a different timeline, and pulsing, which allows her to detect shift spots and grab a glimpse into a different timeline instead of shifting entirely. When Max is going after Safi, I think that this is the first time that her power kicks in, and because it's completely new to her, she doesn't even realize that it's happening. It starts with the owl and Moses. This is the original and Max's own timeline in which Safi is murdered. We see that Safi is okay. This is us switching to the alternate timeline, but then we're thrown off when we hear the gunshot, a shift or maybe a pulse point, only to see that she's still very much okay. Until she's not okay only a few seconds later when we shift back to our own timeline. It's similar to the way that Max got a vision in the beginning of Life is Strange 1 right before her powers activated, completely out of her control. If this shifting power is an evolution of the rewind, it would make sense that it would take her time to learn how it works and how to tell the differences between 2 timelines. So back to the owl theory. When Max is running after Safi and when she finds her, we can hear the owl in the background calling to her.
Shit! Safi, hang on.
An owl that is meant to guide you to see past the veil of deception is hooting in the background while a song literally called Illusion is playing. Yeah, I don't think it can get any more on the nose than that. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to support the channel. My next video is going to be all about Chloe Price and her role in Life is Strange Double Exposure. There are so many questions surrounding Chloe, and it's about time we address them. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.